When you're 5-1 and you're in a conference that is wide open, it is upon your GM to do everything, and I mean everything, he can do to put you over the top. Dallas still stinks. Yo, by the way, King Dingbat here. Hope everybody's having a great day. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you're hanging in there. You know, you can't tell me that when you're 5-1 and you're the NFC Conference champions who are playing in a conference this year that is wide open, when you have the best record in the National Football League, nobody can tell me that it isn't the responsibility of the GM to go out and do everything he can to put that team over the top. And that's exactly what I think is coming the next few weeks by Howie Roseman and the Eagles. They are going to go out and do everything they can. They're in win now mode, and they should be. Now, before we get into all that, and so much more, if you're new to the channel and you like the content, make sure you hit that like button. More importantly, make sure you subscribe to the most censored, the most throttled, pause, Eagles content creator in all of the internet. If you've been subscribed for a while, I just want to thank you so much for all the support you give to me. It truly means a lot. Now, before we get into what I have to say, because this is kind of bothering me today, like this is kind of building up, you know, I don't know if it's what I'm reading on Twitter or some of the DMs I've had, but, you know, this idea that the Eagles are going to just sit on their hands and do nothing, I think is absolutely ridiculous. Julio Jones was signed by us. That is the first shoe to drop. There are trades coming. Now, like I said, before I get into it, I do want to talk about this injury report because there's some names on here that are popping up that I was a little surprised about. So here's the injury report for today, right? Reed Blankenship, ribs, did not practice. No surprise. Lane Johnson did not practice, ankle. No surprise, although it sounds like he's going to play on Sunday. What a beast that guy is. Bradley Roby, shoulder, did not practice. Then this one comes out of nowhere. Devontae Smith, hamstring, did not practice. This is one that I want to circle. This is one that I'm actually a little bit worried about because we need Devontae Smith to be full go come Sunday versus Miami. So this is one I definitely want to watch closely. Limited practices were Jalen Carter, ankle, Dallas Goedert, groin, Darius Slay, knee, Milton Williams, ankle, and then full practice, Sidney Brown, Eli Ricks, and Marlon Tulupo. So those guys are full practice. Darius Slay, Goddard, Carter play. I expect them all to play. The one that I want to watch, though, is I want to watch Devontae Smith because I think that is one that we need him to play. You need him to play this game versus the Miami Dolphins. Now, as you guys know, Julio Jones, he signed with the Eagles yesterday, and it's just funny to me. You know, I think a lot of times, and it's not talked about a lot, but I think these future Hall of Fame players, when they get towards the end of their career, their name can actually hurt them. And what I mean by that is, I mean that a guy like Julio Jones, you think of a Hall of Famer, 7 all-time pro, but you're not getting that Julio Jones. We have to understand that. Oftentimes when you hear that name signed, you think you're getting that guy. You're not getting that guy. He is not the same guy he was 3-4 years ago. However, the question is this. If Julio Jones is 50 to 60% of what the Julio Jones we all know and remember is he better than Quez Watkins and Oz? And to me, I would say if we get 60% of Julio Jones, he's probably better than those two guys. That's just the way it is. So I see this as a low risk, high reward. The only thing you're taking up is a roster spot. Well, if it's not working out, you could always cut him. It ain't going to hurt you, okay? You're not going to let it affect you from putting somebody on this roster that's actually better, okay? So to me, there's no risk in having Julio Jones come out and play. Now, Julio Jones spoke in a press conference today. talked about how, he wanted to come to Philly. He spent a lot of time talking to Howie. I'm sure you guys have all seen the little interview. He will be wearing number 80, which is wild to me. Number 80. I tell you what, seeing Julio Jones in number 80, I'm gonna have flashbacks of Chris Carter when he was with the Eagles. It's gonna be fun. I'm happy Julio Jones is here. I always liked Julio Jones, and I hope that we can get him a Super Bowl. But having a veteran like him come in and be with the team, and even if he's not what he was, if he could contribute in the red zone maybe, or in certain ways, I think it's big for the Eagles. And so I have no issue with Julio Jones coming back and coming to Philly. Now, as far as I was saying earlier in the video, it is upon the GM. It is upon the GM to go out and do everything possible to put this team over the top. You are 5-1. You are coming off a Super Bowl loss. And most teams that lose the Super Bowl struggle the following year, okay? Not all of them, but a lot of them do. The Eagles, they have struggled a little bit this year. We all could say it. Yet they're still 5-1, the best record in the National Football League. And they got tough games coming. Now, I am not going to sit here and tell you that the Eagles can't win this game. I am not one of the Eagle fans that are packing it in, throwing in the towel, saying, nah, we lost this game. Nah, they got to come to Philly. It's going to be a tough game. They're a very good team, but we could win this game. But with that said, we've got holes and we've got to fill them. Pause. All right, the Eagles do. And it's going to be Howie Roseman's job to go out and make some trades. How many trades do I think the Eagles need to make? I think they need to make one at the safety position for sure. And then I think they need to do one that nobody is expecting. I say we need 2 trades. I really think that. Now, as far as safety goes, we do have some bad news with Jeremy Chinn. Thomas R. Peterson wrote this, and there are reports all over the place today. Jeremy Chinn has a significant quad injury and will miss upward of 6 weeks. I guess we could settle with Budda Baker or Justin Simmons, Pound Eagles. Yeah, you could take Jeremy Chinn off of the list of potential trade for candidates for the Eagles, because that's not going to happen now. It's just not with that injury. So Jeremy Chinn is off the trade, a trade list. Maybe, in off season he's a free agent. You'd consider him. I don't know. But he's done. So to me, you have to look at either Justin Simmons or Budda Baker. Of the names that we know of and can think of. Maybe there's a team that's going to trade somebody we're not thinking of. But right now, Budda Baker and Justin Simmons seem the most logical. And really, I don't know if the Eagles want anything to do with anything out of Arizona. And I say that meaning I don't know what their relationship with the Cardinals are right now, because I think it's a lot more sour than people realize. Think about this. Vic Fangio is the defensive coordinator this week versus Miami. Vic Fangio got to look at our roster in detail last year. He was sitting there watching, advising the front office, okay? And he was also supposed to be our defensive coordinator. But because Jonathan Gannon lied and the Cardinals lied, he wound up thinking that Gannon wasn't leaving, and he took a job in Miami. Now, here's the thing. The league just announced today that you're not allowed to basically do interviews until after the divisional round of playoffs. So they're actually changing the rule because of Gannon and because of the giant cover-up. I think the Gannon thing, this whole thing should have been a way bigger issue, and I believe there was a huge cover-up by the NFL because this was a big problem, okay? Jonathan Gannon was focused on moving. He was focused on the Arizona Cardinals and taking that job. The Cardinals were interfering with the Eagles. Now, in a world where there's betting and people bet the Eagles, you don't know if they could try to go sue the NFL for having a team interfere with the Eagles possibly winning that game. That's a real legitimate possibility that could happen, and the league wants to cover their butts. So what did they do? They announced that, the Cardinals were going to have to give the Eagles 24-something spots, and it came out right as the draft was starting. It was a cover-up, okay? So Vic Fangio could have very easily been our defensive coordinator and would have been. So I really wonder, and this is just my own humble opinion, I really wonder if the Eagles want to do business with the Arizona Cardinals right now. I think they're way more pissed off about what happened than they've let the public know, and I think it'll come out at some point. But either BUDDA Baker or Justin Simmons got to be your targets right now. With Chinn not able to get traded, you're going to have to go get one of those two guys. BUDDA Baker's getting ready, I think, to come off the IR. So it's time for the Eagles to go out and get a safety. If they get one of those two guys, it will be a huge upgrade for that defense. The Eagles did a great job in replacing Hargrave. With Carter, and especially the way Jordan Davis is playing, I don't think you've missed Hargrave. But you have missed C.J. Gardner-Johnson. You've had a ton of injuries in the secondary. Now, if you don't want to go out and get a safety, then you need to let Sidney Brown just take the reps and learn and play. And maybe by the end of the year, as you get in the playoffs, things will become a lot more comfortable. The other move I think the Eagles got to consider, and I said this last week, and I'm going to say this again, I think Derrick Henry would be one of those sneaky, huge, I mean huge upgrades that would really put the Eagles, especially offensively, over the top. The Eagles move the ball between the 20s. That hasn't been an issue for the Eagles, but they have stalled out in the red zone. The combination of getting Julio Jones, maybe they want to use him more in the red zone, and that's why they have him. They don't want to use Oz or Quez. They want him. And if you could get Derrick Henry, this solves your red zone problems. I don't think you have a problem in the red zone anymore. The Eagles obviously like to take DeAndre Swift out, which I don't understand, but they obviously like to take DeAndre Swift off the field in the red zone and put Gainwell in. If you're replacing Gainwell with Derrick Henry in the red zone, that's brutal. I think the 1-2 punch of Derrick Henry and DeAndre Swift would be brutal. It would wear teams down. Now, why do I bring up Derrick Henry? I bring him up because of this. We've heard this, now we're hearing it more. The Pound Titans are expected to explore trade options for Derrick Henry at the trade deadline. Henry turns 30 in January, and his time at the top of the running back in the league will likely be coming to a close soon. The Titans plan on working with Henry to get him to a contender to finish off his career. To a contender. All right? So they are going to look to trade him to a contender. I think there's not one bigger contender out there than the Philadelphia Eagles that he would fit. Listen, the Niners have good running backs. The Lions have good running backs. The Eagles have a good running back in DeAndre Swift, but they lack a guy that can get short yardage, a big guy, a guy that could really help you in the red zone. He would fit the Eagles better than any of the other contenders out there, in my opinion. So, unless a team like the Chiefs take him or something, but Derrick Henry would be a great pickup for the Eagles. Now, you might be saying, well, how are you going to afford him? Blah, blah, blah. And here's what I'll say. I was looking at his cap numbers, right? His cap number in 2023 is $16 million. If the Titans were to trade him, they would save about $11 million in space. But here's the thing. You have to remember, when you see that $16 million cap number, you have to remember it's prorated. So that $16 million isn't actually $16 million because Henry has played his first 5 weeks with the Titans. So it would probably be around $8 to $9 million if I had to guess. Usually these things, it's about half by the trade deadline. So you usually can get them at a discount. So if you take that $16 million and you slash that to, let's say, $10 million against the cap, then I think there's something you could work with. And here's the thing. The Eagles would have to figure it out. They would have to work it out with the Titans. Do you give a higher pick to get him and have Titans take some of that cap space? Or do you give them a lower pick and eat up a little more cap space? I don't know. But all I know is this. If the Eagles could make two moves right now, if they could get a safety, and if they could also go out and get a Derrick Henry, that would be unbelievable. That would put this team over the top. Now, let me be clear, okay? Let me be clear. There are no rumors linking Derrick Henry to the Eagles. There is nothing going on. There was stuff before, the season started, back by around the draft time, but there is nothing right now. This is purely my own opinion. I am just giving you my opinion. My opinion is this. If you could make two moves, if you could get a Budda Baker or Justin Simmons, and then you could get a Derrick Henry, somebody to come in and help you in the red zone, this would put the Eagles over the top. That red zone number would go way up in terms of the Eagles scoring in the red zone, and all of a sudden, I think that this would take the Eagles to another level. It would be very hard to stop DeAndre Swift and Derrick Henry. And if you have that 1-2 punch where, listen, Derrick Henry's not going to come in and get 20, 30 carries a game. He's going to split carries with DeAndre Swift. But that kind of combination is absolutely scary. It really, really is. And I think if the Eagles have an opportunity to do something like that, they should do it. Listen, you're 5-1. You're in an open conference. It is time to go in and try to win the whole thing. You were just in the Super Bowl last year. Go out and make the big moves that put you over the top. The 49ers got to the NFC Championship game last year because they went out and got McCaffrey. Don't let the 49ers go out or Detroit go out and get these guys and eat these guys, up, and you're sitting there with Ugats in your hands because you don't want that. The Eagles need to go out and do something. I think, unless you want to go out and get Brian Burns, which, of course, to me, that's the biggest splash you could do, but I don't see that happening. But if you could go out and get Budda Baker, Justin Simmons, you probably get them for a mid-round pick. You get Derrick Henry, you probably could get for a mid-round pick. And you take a chance. You try to win. After this year, they all could walk as far as I'm concerned. But for this year, for this run, you're 5-1. What are you waiting for? What are you holding on to assets for? Right now, you can win it all. You just need that one or two moves, and you're set. So I do think the Eagles will do a move. I do think Howie Roseman's going to do something. I don't know what he's going to do, but I think he's going to do something. And I think the Eagles would be foolish to not go out and not trade for somebody. That's just my opinion, and we'll see how it plays out because Halloween comes. That's the trade deadline, and it's going to be trick or treat for us, I guess, and I'm expecting a big-ass treat. With that said, take care. Talk to you later. Of course, don't be a dingbat. Remember, it's Howie Vision, baby. We're all just living in it. Now, listen. I know I look like Denzel Washington. I know that you watch us every day. You think this is Denzel Washington. A lot of people think they're watching Denzel Washington, but I'm not. However, there's also a lot of people think that nobody wants to trade with Howie Roseman because he rips them off all the time. Well, if that's the case, then Howie just has to go out and get a front man. Just get somebody who you say is in charge of trades while you operate everything from behind. Now, pause. Now, I'll be the front man. I look like Denzel Washington. I can fool everybody. They think Denzel's the GM. And then I call Titans. Hey, yo, we would like to get Derrick Henry. And they think they're jipping me off. They think they're getting over on me. I go back to Howie. I tell him he runs the numbers. He calculates the calculations of the cornbread. Boom. He sends it back to me. I send it back to the Titans. They think they got a big trade. They ripped us off. And then, boom, we really ripped them off at the end. Howie's still in charge. That's how you do it. Tony Soprano style. Denzel Washington out.